I hope you enjoy my stories. Instead of just clicking thumbs down, please comment and share how we can do better. If you do like our video, then please like and subscribe.
Letter of unapproved tree removal from HOA. I'll just try to be short with this. I had a dead tree in my backyard and some other trees that were just about overhanging my house. A limb fell off one during a storm and nearly put a hole in my roof, but just missed the house by like 1 to 2 featuring, so I decided to take out a bunch of trees with the bonus of opening up the backyard for some more open space. I just received a letter from the HOA that my changes were not approved. Except as far as I am aware, I'm not in the HOA. I never received any documentation other than their newsletters they send out to all houses in the neighborhood for things like when the pool opens and special dates. I've never paid any fees whatsoever. I just got into the deeds title section of the state clerk's office and looked up all the information on my property, which there wasn't much of. And nowhere can I find any information about an HOA in my documents. Even search plat information. Nothing. There's no levies in any of my bills, mortgage or otherwise. Do I have to notify the HOA of changes to my house if I'm not in the HOA? And is there a surefire way for me to tell if I'm even in the HOA or have to follow HOA rules? Update. I contacted the law firm that dealt with the closing when I bought my house and their response. Our file notes show that there are no mandatory dues for your lot. The prior owner did not opt into the association when it was created in 2002 and at closing in 2014. It is likely the HOA presented a letter disclosing options to opt in if you chose to do so. I then contacted the title company that handled the closing and their response was, I pulled the title work on this and it does not appear to be in a planned unit development with assessments, fees for membership. The covenants and restrictions filed in the county at the time we closed, Book 5410, page 30, do not reflect mandatory membership with fees in HOA. You may want to ask the folks that address the issue to show you the recorded documents stating you need their approval. If these were recorded after you moved into your home, I'm not sure how they can enforce them. But you should definitely reach out to the HOA for additional information. I hope this helps. I know I didn't sign any HOA documents in my closing, so looks like I'm in the clear by the sounds of it. This is a new, small townhouse development, and the majority of our board members live in homes built without any parking space at all. Now I'm fairly certain this is flat out against building code. The developers told the city there would be X spaces for X homes, implying each home would have their own space. But what they really did was give 4 homes 2-car garages and 4 homes nothing, while the rest of us have a single-car garage, driveway. But that's really besides the point. This was well known prior to purchase, and those buyers agreed to park on the neighboring streets. Well, this turned out to be really inconvenient. So they got on the board and decided to allow everyone to park effing everywhere. Like kids have to walk in the middle of the street to and from the bus because the sidewalks are lined with cars. The streets have extremely limited visibility because there are cars in it, even though it's not legally wide enough for parking on either side. It's often difficult to get through with a small vehicle. It would be impossible for a fire truck, confirmed by the fire inspector who came to assess. Besides glaring safety issues, I can only imagine what this is doing to our property values. Car tires have damaged electrical boxes by driving over them and into the green spaces, dragging mud all over the road. People are technically not allowed to park in the grass or on 2 corners where the roadway is particularly tight, but it happens anyway because there's zero signage. The board just sent out an extremely convoluted email saying you couldn't park there, and then when people do, our president slaps a tow sticker on their driver's side window when she herself is parked on the goddamn sidewalk. Concerns have been brought to the board again and again and are completely ignored. Who cares if a kid might get hit by a car? So what if a fire truck could struggle to get through to put out a fire, or if the ambulance might not make it in time to save an elderly neighbor? So long as board members get to park right next to their front door. It's a thing disgusting, but I don't know what else to do. The fire department said they can tell them to put up no parking signs. Okay. They said they contacted police, but it's private property, so they won't do anything. The city can't enforce anything on private sidewalks, apparently. And yes, the bylaws say the board gets to decide where people can park. Moving is not an option, and we are actually really happy here in most ways. But this is ridiculous and a thing dangerous. I should add that while most people have garages, some choose to use them for storage and even living space because why not? It's the Wild West out here. Also, some people park in front of their garages defensively as they've been repeatedly blocked in. Some people just have multiple cars, and apparently I should feel sorry for them because they don't have enough parking. Let me take you through a recent ordeal that completely took me by surprise and tested my patience to its limits. There I was, just another day enjoying a leisurely drive through my neighborhood, feeling the calm of the street wash over me, utterly oblivious to the storm brewing in my mailbox. The moment I flipped through the day's mail, my eyes landed on a notice from the Homeowners Association, HOA, that stopped me dead in my tracks. They were taking issue with something I hadn't even considered a problem: my trailer, which I had innocently parked on the street adjacent to our neighborhood. For a second, confusion reigned supreme. Why on earth would this be an issue? I pondered, truly baffled. The complaint, as it turned out, was that my trailer, visible from some neighbors' windows, apparently constituted a violation of the HOA's rules. But here's where things got absurd. That street wasn't even under the jurisdiction of the HOA. Determined to clear up this misunderstanding, I immediately sought out my copy of the Covenants, Conditions, and Restrictions, CCRs, the HOA's holy grail of regulations. I combed through it with a fine-tooth comb, yet there wasn't a single word about parking trailers on neighboring streets. Despite my findings, the HOA seemed determined to escalate the matter, tossing around threats of legal action and penalties with alarming nonchalance. There I was, caught in an impossible situation. That trailer wasn't just some recreational vehicle. It was essential for my work. Yet, the thought of entangling myself in a legal showdown with the HOA was the last thing I wanted. The prospect of lawyering up, with its associated costs and headaches, was daunting. Who in their right mind would want to dive into that rabbit hole if they didn't have to? So, I started contemplating alternative solutions. Perhaps a conversation with the neighbors could open a path to a compromise. It wasn't like I was trying to park a monstrous eyesore. It was just a simple trailer, after all. Another avenue was to approach the HOA board directly. Maybe sitting down and having a heart-to-heart, possibly over a casual cup of coffee, could help them see reason. They might not even be aware that they were stepping beyond their bounds. Whatever route I chose to take, one thing was comforting. I wasn't the first to face down an HOA overreach, and I certainly wouldn't be the last. These trials have a way of bringing people together, sharing in a collective dread yet finding solace in the camaraderie of mutual grievances. And who knows, perhaps in the future, this whole saga will transform into a humorous anecdote I share at parties. But for now, it's a battle on my doorstep, and to standing firm and navigating through undue pressures with hope and resilience at my side. With all avenues having been exhausted, I mulled over my options. It became increasingly clear that none of the informal approaches were yielding any progress. Despite my efforts to reason with the neighbors and engage in a heart-to-heart with the HOA board, the situation remained unchanged. Frustrated but undeterred, I reluctantly realized that the next step was to seek legal counsel. With a heavy sigh, I picked up the phone and dialed the number of a local attorney specializing in HOA disputes. After explaining the situation, they assured me that I wasn't alone in facing such challenges and agreed to represent me in this matter. As I hung up the phone, a mix of emotions washed over me. Relief at finally taking decisive action, mingled with a sense of apprehension about the legal journey ahead. Nevertheless, I was determined to see this through, hopeful that with the expertise of legal representation, I could find a resolution and reclaim peace in my own neighborhood. HOA is not letting me sleep for over a year now. We've had scampering noises in our walls and ceilings. They were sporadic at first, but got more aggressive. The noises then started happening above our bed at 3 a.m. We called a wildlife removal company who saw that something had chewed through covering to access the AC chase. They set up some traps and caught a rat before sealing up all the entry points. We were told that because we live in a townhome with shared walls and connected attics, treatment may need to be done on every unit to be effective. Things were great after that. For a week. When the noises returned, we called the wildlife company who confirmed their work and saw chew marks on other neighbors' units. If a rodent has access to one townhome, they had access to the entire connected set. They recommended getting the HOA involved as the rodents weren't getting in through my unit. So it began. I contacted Community Association Manager about the issue to see if the HOA could do anything, since this was affecting the entire set of connected units. The CAM stated each individual owner was responsible for the situation and that there wasn't anything they or the HOA could do since the community is 720. Due to privacy issues, I wasn't able to get contact information for the other owners, but the CAM sent out an email to all owners. Thankfully, the unit next to me did the service immediately. They also caught a rat and sealed everything up. Great! None of the other neighbors responded to the email, and after spending weeks knocking on doors trying to hunt down the other owners, especially difficult when a unit is being rented, everyone agreed to get service, but they were interested in a group bulk discount. The wildlife company graciously came out again and provided a group rate. Everything was looking good. We just needed to align on a date. Then an owner reneged. Their adult daughter who lives in the unit had initially agreed, but the actual owner refused to get service done. In desperation, I offered to pay their entire share of the group rate. The service would be free. They just needed to seal their unit and maybe allow traps outside their home for a couple days. They still refused. I contacted the CAM again, asking if there was anything the HOA could do to force this neighbor's hand. I was met with a shrug in the form of an email. I drafted up and sent a letter to the HOA board, suggesting a couple provisions in the covenants that they could invoke, including an owner maintenance provision that states if there is a dispute or ambiguity that the board of directors have the final say in determination. I received the following reply: there is nothing the HOA or the board can do on this issue. This is not a broken pipe that you need fixed in a shared wall. We cannot force anyone to get service that they do not want. Fed up, I consulted an attorney who suggested my last source of recourse might be calling the county and making a complaint to code enforcement. Thankfully, though, the nearest neighbor getting service seems to have stopped the scampering for several months. Until a few weeks ago. It's baffling to me that the HOA is being laissez-faire with this issue, given the potential health hazards and property damage these rodents could cause. One neighbor even sold their unit and moved due to this issue. By the HOA's own contorted logic, there's nothing they could do. No fine to give or lien to place. If my home flooded and I decided I didn't want a plumber or to shut off my water, even to the detriment of all the other owners. What this story leaves out is countless sleepless nights of rodents going ballistic in my ceiling. Innumerable times we're trying to watch TV or read books only to lose focus to the cacophony we can do nothing about. It's tiring. It's stressful. I just want to live in my own home in peace. Screw HOA, off to code enforcement I go. Here's to hoping.
I would like to thank you for watching the video to the end. To encourage us to make more videos, please like, subscribe, comment, as well as share. Check out this other video if you haven't already.